The tank engine, for its size, is the most versatile thing on rails. And the tender engines are responsible for all the passengers and heavy goods that arrive on the island of Sodor. This is NWR Stories. Doncaster drawn. It was a warm spring afternoon on the island of Sodor, and Toby the tram engine was going along the line with his coach Henrietta. He was approaching the junction when he heard a strange whistle. That sounds like Gordon's whistle. But Gordon's at the station right now, thought Toby. Suddenly, a big green engine with the same shape as Gordon rushed out of the tunnel. "What was that?" said Toby, trundling on. Not long after that, Thomas was arriving at the station when the same green engine rushed past him also. The engine was traveling at a very high speed. "Bust my buffers! What is that?" said Thomas. All over the island, the green engine had rushed past everyone. The engines were puzzled of who this engine is, but they were soon in for a treat. Meanwhile, Gordon and Edward were at the station, ready to take their trains of the day. It was a busy day, so they were hoping they were able to set off pretty soon. "What is taking it so long?" said Gordon. "I am ready to take this train now, so I can go rest in the sidings, 'cause I have been rushing trains all day." "Calm down, Gordon. You're gonna bust another safety valve. Just wait your time and everything will be fine. Just don't rush it." "I'm an express engine, so I am used to things being fast-paced, and things should be catered to how I like them, 'cause I am a big important engine. Built by Sir Nigel Gresley, 1921. The prototype of the A1 class." Yes, we know. I was there when you arrived on Sodor," said Edward. Gordon was going to give another reply until he heard a whistle which he found familiar. "No, it cannot be," said Gordon. And indeed, it was a familiar sight. The famous A3 Pacific Flying Scotsman had rolled into the station with a tourist train. Flying Scotsman in his apple green livery pulled into the platform right next to Gordon. It was a splendid sight indeed.
"Why, hello there, Gordon. How are you doing, dear boy?"
"Scotsman, you old racehorse, you, how are you doing? It is great to see you. You look great."
"Right back at you, brother. I'm gonna be in town for a couple of days, running an excursion train. You know your little island is famous on the mainland," repeated Scotsman.
"Well, we are certainly glad to see you." This is a splendid occasion for the island, replied Gordon, excited. Isn't that right, Edward? Yes. Hello, Scotsman, said Edward.
Ah, Edward, how are you doing? I've heard so much about you. You're a real hero back in London.
What makes you say that? Said Edward.
Pushing a grizzly engine up the hill, that is good news. Great news in London. They read it in that railway series book that the Reverend wrote all those years ago.
Wow, thank you. That is high praise, after all, said Edward. Yes, indeed. Well, it's good to have you, Scotsman. I'll be seeing you later. And with a toot of his whistle, Gordon pulled out the station. That night, Gordon and Scotsman were lined up next to each other, and all the engines were talking to him about his adventures on the mainland. So, Scotsman, said Henry, how is steam going on the mainland?
Well, steam is going very strong over there. We're having rail tours left and right. The new engines are being built. It's a fantastic. Steam is still going strong after all these years. It's good to know that we're not a lost art.
The engines laughed at this, and they were all intrigued that steam was going well on the mainland. We heard about your overhaul that took about 10 years, said Edward. You look great, Scotsman. I see they took away the smoke deflectors.
Ah, yes. I requested that I wanted to go back to my original grizzly condition, and they listened. That British Railways livery was scraped off of me, and now I'm back to my NWR apple green.
Yes, I thought about going back to that, but the blue works well on me.
Indeed it does, dear brother. I say, crew did a good job on your rebuild. I know I said this back in 1967, but I'm looking at you now. You look good, brother.
Thank you, Scotsman. I also had an overhaul recently. They restored me to my grizzly specifications. They kept my old tender, though, which was good. But, yes, a rebuild does an engine good.
Mr. Scotsman, sir, said Percy, what are you doing here on Sodor? We've been all wanting to know.
Well, I think the Fat Controller can explain that.
Indeed I can. Now, I am hosting rail tours on the island. Scotsman brought some mainlanders that want to see the railway, because as you know, we are famous from the railway series books and the TV show. So they really want to see the real-life island of Sodor and all the lots of engines that work on it. Now, I need you all to be on your best behavior, because this rail tour means more revenue for the railway. Yes, sir, said all the engines. Now, as for you, Gordon, you and Scotsman will double head an excursion train all around the island, so the passengers can see all of the sights of Sodor. From here to the docks, from the docks to Kildane. I see, sir. Well, I look forward to it, showing Scotsman around. I know my way around this island. You forget how many times have I visited here? Yeah, you're right. The next morning, Flying Scotsman puffed into the yard, getting ready for the rail tour. Nearby, Rosie was taking on water, and noticed Flying Scotsman had arrived.
Oh, Flying Scotsman, sir. I am sorry. I hope I'm not taking too long at the water tower.
No, none at all. said Flying Scotsman, rolling back. All of us engines need to take our time so we can enjoy the drink that we receive before doing our work.
I guess that's true.
Indeed.
Well, after I'm done with my water, I'll go fetch your coaches.
No, not at all. I can get them myself. Let me guess, did Gordon say tender engines don't shunt?
On multiple occasions, yes, he has.
Ah, there's one thing I used to hate about living in King's Cross, near London. Every time the trains need to be shuffled, they expected the tank engines to do it. Well, me and a few others were brave enough to get our own.
Then, that makes you an automatic friend of all the tank engines on this island.
Ha ha ha, indeed. Well, it was nice talking to you, miss. I bid you a farewell. And with a toot of his whistle, Flying Scotsman rolled off to get some coaches.
Soon, all the engines arrived at the station to witness the rail tour's beginning. It was an exciting event. Lots of people had gathered to see the rail tour. Everyone watched in amazement as Flying Scotsman and Gordon backed on to the coaches to prepare for this exciting event. Careful, Gordon. Don't bash the coaches. Do I look like an LMS shunter? Laughed the two engines. Everyone cheered in amazement as they saw the two engines ready to set off for their rail tours. It was a huge event for the island. Are you ready, Gordon? said Flying Scotsman. Right, old boy, said Gordon. And with the proud toot of their whistles, they set off on the rail tour. Flying Scotsman and Gordon were traveling down the line at high speeds. It was a nice and fun ride. The passengers cheered as the engines thundered down the line.
Soon, the ride became less enjoyable for Gordon because he realized that most of the praise was going towards Flying Scotsman, and this made Gordon somewhat jealous.
The two engines thundered across the bridge with spectacular fashion. Soon the engines whooshed in the tunnel in spectacular fashion, with the coaches trailing behind them. The engines soon arrived at their final destination, which was the docks at Brendam. Flying Scotsman stopped in spectacular fashion. They were both tired, because it was a good and successful run. Reminds me of the days back when we pulled expresses on the London Northeastern Railway. Isn't that right, Gordon?
Yes, brother, I guess, said Gordon. The two were uncoupled from the coaches and left to go back to the yards.
Later that day, when Flying Scotsman was taking on water, Gordon arrived into the yards.
Gordon, it's good to see you again. Are you ready for 3 more days of this?
Can't say I am.
Oh, come on, Gordon, what is this about? Most of the passengers were cheering for you and not me. Don't take it to heart, Gordon. It's just a train. It's more of a charity event. People come far and wide to see you. People want to see you, engines.
Yes, but You are a celebrity. You're used to this. I would like some attention. Oh, Gordon, that is very childish of you. I don't think so. Just some of us work harder than most. What's that supposed to mean? Said Flying Scotsman. Well, let's face it, Scotsman. I pull express trains regularly. You haven't pulled an express train since, well, shortly before you were withdrawn. Offended by this comment, Flying Scotsman said, You should not respond to me like that. All we have is each other. All of our remaining brothers and sisters were scrapped years ago, and you come at me like this. I cannot believe you, Gordon. I would think that you wouldn't let publicity get between you and I, but I guess not. Great Northern would be disappointed with you, said Flying Scotsman before chuffing away. Scotsman, wait, I didn't mean what I said, said Gordon. But sadly, Scotsman was far out of sight. Oh, the indignity. What have I done? And Gordon trundled away sadly. Later, Flying Scotsman was sitting on the siding, near the branch line, when Edward came into the yard and backed onto some freight cars. He noticed Flying Scotsman sitting on the other line. Oh, Scotsman, what are you doing here? I thought you would be somewhere in the station resting.
I needed somewhere quiet to sit, 'cause me and Gordon got into an argument. I don't know what became over him. He was such a kind engine back when he was built. He was young, eager, keen to impress. But now he's pompous and, well, like most of us back in London.
What do you mean? Said Edward.
Well, most of us during the days of the Big Four were pompous and just full of ourselves. Especially some of us like Mallard and Dominion of Canada, majority of the A4s and some of us A3s. We were the fastest engines in the world. We wanted to prove ourselves, prove that we had our worth. But you see where most of that has gotten us. Me and Gordon, the only A1s, A3s left. There's only a few of us Grizzly Pacifics left. But we all treated each other like animals. Which the Scrapper's Torch brought all of us engines together. Which it shouldn't take that. It's sad how the world has came to.
A Scotsman, said Edward. Would you like to double-head a train?
Yes, I'm sure a nice long run would help me.
And with that, Flying Scotsman backed onto Edward's train. Wow, I've never seen an express engine take a train. Oh, haha, very funny, said Flying Scotsman as him and Edward set off. Throughout the run, Flying Scotsman told Edward about what Gordon had said when they last spoke. It's safe to say that Edward was pretty horrified with what was told.
My word, he really said that. I wish I was telling a lie, Edward. I really wish I was.
Can't say that I'm really surprised, said Edward.
But sometimes Gordon just needs to realize that it's not a popularity contest. At the end of the day, we're all steam engines and need to stick together.
Later, Flying Scotsman brought the train into the docks in a smooth fashion. Well, I can say, for an express engine, you handled that train pretty well, Scotsman. Well, I helped out here and there every once in a while. I'm not a full express engine, laughed Flying Scotsman. But as far as Gordon, said Edward, you just need to talk to him. He does have his moments where he can be nice, and he does have his moments when he can be a bit, well, rude. But at the same time, there's always two sides to a coin. You never know which side you might land on, but it only matters what's in the inside. That's all that matters. You know, Edward, you're right. If only some of us engines had your wisdom. Thank you. And with that, Flying Scotsman rolled off to talk to Gordon. Later that day, Flying Scotsman arrived into the yard, where he saw Gordon. Oh, hello, brother. I just want to apologize for what I said. I was just jealous, you know? I'm used to being the pride of the line on this railway. And I guess I had trouble shining the spotlight on someone else. I apologize, Scotsman. Oh, it's completely fine, Gordon. I understand. You were a star on this railway. While we were shining on the London Northeastern Railway, you were here making a name for yourself. I understand why you would want to keep that, said Scotsman. The truth is that you are the better engine, brother. Miss, you have been all over the world. You have seen things. You have been to America. You've been to Australia. You've been everywhere. But I have never left this island. But you see the circumstances of why I left to go all those places. I was nearly scrapped, Gordon. You would have been the only A1 left. But what matters is that we're here now. Great Northern, Papyrus, Captain Cuttle, they all could have been here. But we are the only ones that are left. So we must share our brotherhood. Embrace it. Because we have each other. Yes, if they were here now, they would be very disappointed in us, said Gordon. Quite right, dear boy. I swear, if pretty Polly was here, she'll be scolding me. Was she the one that was built after I left for Sodor? Yes, she was a feisty one. She was sort of the leader of most of us A3s and A1s. But I'm sorry too, Gordon. Let's agree not to argue again, little brother. Why do you call me little brother when I was the prototype for you all? So technically I'm the older one. Oh, it's just tease. Come on, we have a rail tour to pull, old boy. And with a toot of his whistle, Flying Scotsman rolled away. Oh, don't go anywhere without me. And Gordon soon followed. Over the next few days, Gordon and Flying Scotsman rode around the island with the rail tour. The two brothers felt that they could take on the whole entire railway by themselves. They were clearly a force to be reckoned with. It really shows that when family sticks together, anything is possible. But soon, the day came when Flying Scotsman had to return to the other railway. It was a sad occasion, but Flying Scotsman cheerfully spoke up.
It's okay, everyone. I will return. Sodor is like a second home, and I will always return home. Take care, Gordon. You too, Sodor engines. And with a toot of his whistle, Flying Scotsman rolled away.
One day, Edward was sitting in the docks waiting to take a train when Gordon backed onto a goods train next to him. Gordon? How, it's funny seeing you here. Are you forced to take a goods train?
No, Edward. I decided that I should take this today. I let Henry take the express.
I never thought I'd see the day, said Edward.
Well, change is important. The more we resist it, the more it overcomes us.
I say, Gordon, you have come a long way since 1923 when you first arrived.
You're right, Edward. And with a toot of his whistle, Gordon left with his train.
Remember, change is always important. And the more you accept change, the more you are prepared. What do you think? The end.